had black pieces and Gata had white. It was e4, c6, my favorite, d4, d5, then Panov attack, e takes d5, c takes d5, c4, yeah, knight f6, knight c3, e6, knight f3, bishop b4.
Well, now this is actually a combination of a couple of different openings, Anatoly. This could be either like a Queen's Gambit to Roche, or a Nimzo Indian, or a Caro-Kann.
Yes, it's very strange transposition. Caro-Kann first is converting to what? To maybe Queen's Gambit, but with this move, Bishop b4, Black tries to change. Black tries to change the system, and it will be Nimzo Indian.
So in the game, he went ahead and played c takes d5. He took with the knight on d5.
That's right.
And after bishop d2, we do see that by exchanging, he has given himself an isolated pawn.
Yes, but this is well known. This is well-known line, and so knight c6 is usual move. Then bishop d3.
Okay, so after bishop d3, you went ahead and castled, and he castled. And now you played bishop back to e7, and he played queen e2. And I guess we can talk a minute about the isolated queen pawn situation that you have. White, of course, gets more free and rapid development, but black, for his part, does have the weak pawn to play against. He does have the good square, but he does have to solve the rest of his development problems.
A typical position with isolated pawns. So white wants to have pressure in the center and also on the king side, and black tries to range some counter-attack on isolated pawn on d4. But the most important thing, how to regroup pieces. First of all, black has to stop queen coming to the king side through e4 square. So
knight, queen e4, and then knight f6, and then queen over somewhere. And then
yes, queen e4, knight f6, queen h4, and then some threats with bishop g5.
So you played knight back to f6.
Yes, which is necessary. And then knight to e4.
Now this is interesting because you played knight f6, double attacking the pawn, and he actually offers to let you take this pawn. But of course this would be very dangerous. After you take, knight takes, queen takes, and then a move like bishop to c3, for example, trying to give you problems here. So let's say you go queen back, and then something like knight takes, check, bishop takes.
And then rook a to d1.
Okay. And that threatens,
yes.
Bishop takes check and rook takes queen.
Discover check, and then queen must go to e7. Otherwise, if we put queen somewhere, c7 or whatever, queen e4 is winning immediately. So queen e7. And then queen e4. g6 is only defense. And then bishop b4.
And this would immediately cost serious material.
So then taking pawn on d4 is dangerous. That's why black need to play something else. But still, we want to keep eye on d4 pawn and queen b6. At the same time, attacking pawn on b2.
Now here he played a3. Of course, white has many ways to try and build a position. a3 keeps your pieces out of b4 and prevents you from taking the pawn, because after a3, if you try to steal this pawn, then of course rook at f to b1 would trap your queen, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So a3 is just kind of a useful move, and he does have the possibility of expanding on the queen side one day.
Yes, it's necessary to develop pieces. So bishop d7 is the best move. And then rook f to d1. Black made probably the most difficult move in this game. It's always the problem which rook to put on d8 or c8. A or F?
Well, in theory, or in principle, it looks like you would want to put the two rooks on the open files.
Yeah.
This would be the simple way of looking at things. But you played, like you said, a very tough decision here.
Yeah, the problem was that in many variations with these knights on F3 and E4, one knight is coming to G5, another knight is coming to E5, with some threats to F7 square. That's why I decided to play rook A to D8.
So as you explained in your notes, that you felt it was very important for this rook to give a little more protection to the F7 square for a little while longer.
Yes, because now white has nothing after knight takes F6, bishop takes F6, queen E4, G6. If I would move another rook to D8, then queen F4 would be very strong. Queen F4 and then some problems with F7. But now queen F4 will meet bishop G7, and so there is no tempo with knight G5. That's why Kamsky played bishop to E3.
Now this looks very dangerous because he's threatening to play pawn up, discovered attack on your queen, and a discovered attack with the pawn on your knight. So this looks like it's time to move your queen.
Yeah, that's right. And at the same time, black cannot take pawn on B2, because after queen takes B2, rook D to B1, then queen C3, and bishop D2. Queen is trapped.
So here you played another very nice move.
Just a normal reaction would be, what I could say, trivial reaction would be knight A5 or queen A5 or queen C7. But I played much stronger, just having in mind to make blockade, and without any how to say, without danger, feeling danger to get discover attack of queen. Knight E7. And so now we are ready to make this blockade.
Well, the first point is if he plays pawn to D5, he's not attacking your knight. And then secondly, unlike before, you said you would actually be able to steal this pawn down here, because if he plays rook over, then with the bishop open, you can simply give up your queen for these rooks.
No, even maybe first I can take on D5 with the pawn, and then after I can take rook on A1. Mm-hmm. That's why I didn't play D5.
So Anatoly, so that's why Gata played knight to E5, and now you went ahead and played knight to F5.
Yes.
Attacking the bishop on E3, attacking the pawn on D4.
Yeah, theoretically, what books would tell you, that it's better to put knight on D5, then this is for sure you have blockade. But this is passive blockade, and so if you prevent D4, D5, then it's better to put knight to F5, because at the same time you attack the pawn on D4. And so this is active way to fight against isolated pawn. That's why I played knight to F5. So D5 is not working now because knight takes E3. So maybe we show this variation, yeah?
If D5?
D5, then knight takes E3.
Mm-hmm.
Knight takes D7. Rook takes D7.
Mm-hmm.
Then pawn takes E6. Knight takes D1. Then pawn takes rook.
Well, you could play queen takes pawn check, but also knight takes here is not bad.
Yeah, this is the easiest way, because we control D8 square, and then it's easy win. It means that white has no this possibility to play D4, D5, and that's why white played knight to C4.
Okay, now this attacks your queen, so obviously you do need to move.
Yes, now we have several options to move queen. the first queen c7. This is what white expected. Then bishop comes to f4. And then bishop comes to e5.
And everything's okay.
Yes. So we wouldn't like this. And if black would play queen c6, the second possibility, then most probably white wanted to play knight to a5, attacking queen again. And when we take on e4, bishop recaptures on e4, and then pawn on d4 is protected, and we would have to play b6, and then knight b7, and so some problems with the rook.
The position's not so clear.
Yes, so then we need to make something else. And then what to do?
Well, so in this position you found an amazing solution.
Yes. So this is very unusual what black made here. Just being on very dangerous diagonal with one bishop. After knight c4, I put it queen on another dangerous diagonal for another bishop on d3. But now what we have in the position, if white would play knight to e5, then bishop b5. So this is in black favor to exchange white color bishops.
Yeah, because then you have the perfect blockade.
Yes, then we have perfect blockade and big advantage. Of course, white tries to prevent bishop b5 or b5, and they play a4. So now we have just time to play bishop c6, queen f4, only move, and then bishop d5, attacking knight.
So Anatoly, this is really amazing transformation here, because this bishop, which you said is always the problem child in many double king pawn openings or many king pawn openings, has gone from being on c8 and undeveloped to being probably the best piece on the board.
Yeah, bishop on d5 is perfect, and then queen on f4 is not so good, because on one side queen is active, but on the other side queen is in very delicate position, because, for instance, if white would play now g4.
Well, this looks like it wins a piece, because your bishop on f6 is loose, and if the knight moves, although I guess he could take here, but you have even better.
If I take here, then knight takes on e3.
Mm-hmm.
But we can play g5.
And now the queen only has one square where it's not attacked.
Yes, queen must go there, and then we can play simply knight h4, threatening check.
And you
or
still
we can play many moves. We can play also rook c8 here. Queen is very vulnerable on c7, and so that's why g4 is not working. And white played knight to e5.
Okay, now this attacks your queen again.
Yes, but then we play queen b6, attacking pawn on b2. Now g4 is not working because of g5, and queen is trapped.
After g4,
Look,
g5.
In the center. Queen trapped in the center.
And the bishop covers, the knight covers,
and bishop covers. Yes, this is not often when you can catch queen in the center of the board.
Gata at this point made a very strange decision, and he decided that he was under too much pressure here, and he surrendered the bishop pair by playing bishop takes knight.
Ah, that's right, yes. First he took this knight.
And here, of course, you don't want to expose your king, so you capture this way. And I think what Gata was thinking was, at this point, he needs to try and look for some way to hold the game. And he was thinking if he could exchange bishop for bishop, or maybe this knight for this bishop, and make some kind of draw like this.
Yeah, then it could be ending with opposite color bishops, which is quite favorable for white. So rook d2. Rook d2.
So here you go
bishop
ahead and
g7, yes. I'm not sure that this was necessary to play bishop g7. Probably I could play immediately queen e6, but this moment I couldn't decide what to do with black. To play rook e8, I cannot play rook c8, because of knight d7. That's why first I needed to just to arrange control over d7 square. But first I played bishop g7. And then white played h4. And then most probably black should play h6, first to improve position on the king, on their king with king h7, and then try to make something on the open file, or just to make maneuvers with the queen.
In the game, you played rook at f to e8.
Right, rook f to e8, and then white played queen to g3.
Well, he wants to activate his bishop.
That's right.
And now you played rook c8.
Rook c8. So again, h6 or queen e6 would give more difficult choice for white. Now black allows white to make this maneuver. Knight to d7, queen c6.
Yeah, later you said maybe queen d8 would have been more precise.
Yes, queen d8, so knight c5 is the only move, then b6.
And then when the knight comes back to d3, your queen wouldn't be on the square where it could be attacked at one moment.
Yes, then I could play straight rook e4. Instead, when I had queen on c6, after knight d7, queen c6, knight c5, b6, knight d3, I had to play with my queen to d7, and then a5. This is absolutely correct decision. White needs to exchange one pawn.
And also to bring this rook into the game as well.
Yes, that's right. Because black controls one open file, so it's necessary to open another one for white rooks.
So in
rook
the game,
e4,
though,
yes,
this is a very, very powerful move, because you put more pressure on this pawn, but you also threaten just very powerful rook g4. And then we start to see this bishop go to work with this rook on the g2 square.
Yeah, and f3 is not possible because bishop is hanging on e3.
If f3, this bishop.
Yes, that's why knight f4 is forced. So now I don't want to give this chance to exchange pawns on the queen side, b5. And then white played rook d2 to d1, I believe, yeah?
Yes.
Yes, that's right. And then bishop c4.
Well, this preserves the bishop, and it starts to control this knight.
Yes. Black is not afraid of pushing this pawn to d5, because then bishop e5 or pawn on b2.
So in the game, Gata played rook c1.
Yes. And now I discovered that if we exchange all the rooks, my king would be in vulnerable position, because I have no space, I have no luft.
And sometimes queen down to the back rank check could be dangerous.
Yes, that's why I needed to make this move, h6. So, but then rook c3.
So now he's preparing to double rooks and try and get some activity.
Yes, that's why b4. Rook c2 is the only move, probably. And then rook c6. This is very strong. Because black is provoking white to play d5. And if white plays d5, then we just go back, and bishop is well protected on c4 with another rook. And then after rook d to c1, we have move b3. And then the same, bishop e5 or king h7, just to improve the position of the pieces. That's why d5 is not working. Rook d1 to c1. But now we have moved bishop to b5. And then this was already in time trouble. So whites didn't want to exchange on c6, and they improved position of the king. King g1 to h2. So I decided not to spend too much time also and to repeat this maneuver to improve my king.
Well, the nice thing is in all tactical variations, you no longer have to worry about queen b8 check and queen takes here, or queen b8 check and queen takes something. And so this saves you a lot of problems.
A lot of problems, and it saves a lot of time to calculate all the variations. And so then rook takes c6, bishop takes c6.
Now again, you were explaining to me earlier over dinner that if he plays d5, you simply go back with the bishop, and then he's just increased the power of this bishop, and again, this bishop could come to this line, and everything is on it.
Yes, and then queen d6, so we have a lot of threats.
So now, of course, it's not easy for Gata to find a move here.
Knight cannot move because of rook g4 again. You remember, g2 is hanging. So, rook c4. Now I could play b3, but then rook b4, and rook comes to b8, or maybe it's not easy to defend pawn on b3. That's why very strong move bishop f8. And so now we have ideas to play bishop b5 and then bishop g6, just to use this diagonal.
Well, also it's interesting too that now the pawn is pinned this way, laterally.
Yes, d5 is not possible because rook is not protected.
And so actually, little by little, we can see white is start to become in a little bit of a problem, because this knight can't move because of rook to g4. The pawn can't move because it's defending the bishop. And he's kind of in a little bit of a box.
Yes, but no.
Well, now he played a very clever idea.
Finds a tactical possibility, because knight d3. And then if black plays rook g4, then knight e5. And if you take on g3, knight takes d7, this bishop is hanging. Rook takes g2 check, king h3. And then all our pieces are in trouble. Bishop on c6, rook on g2, and bishop on f8. That's why black just need to make another move. This was the 40th move. And so I quickly played queen e6. So actually queen d5 was winning almost.
Well, queen d5, if he tries to play knight e5 to start with, you have two threats with queen d5, right? You threaten his rook.
And rook
and
g4.
You threaten rook to g4.
Right.
Okay. And so the only move that seems to defend both would be knight e5, right? But then, as you pointed out, you would simply play rook takes here. If he takes here, you take here, winning a piece. And if he plays rook takes desperadoing this way, then you play rook takes on e3, and then whatever he does, you recapture and you win one extra piece.
Yes, that's right.
Competitive situation, and you had to make the time control. And so you played queen here, which certainly is a very good move, because, again, you threaten queen takes, and you threaten rook to here. And a lot of people would practically resign in this position with white.
No, but Kamsky found an interesting possibility to continue the fight. d4 to d5. Just opening this bishop, which was dead for most of the game. Here I was thinking for a long time, and then I decided to take with the bishop. And after rook takes rook...
Well, the main point is that he sacrificed a pawn. Like you said, he opened for this bishop, but he also eliminated this rook that was threatening to kill him.
Yeah, that's right. So now if I take with the pawn, the knight comes to f4, and then my pawn on a7 is under attack. And then I decided, and that's why I was thinking for a long time, I had to decide what to do after rook takes e4, and then I decided to recapture with the bishop.
Actually, this position is very interesting, Anatoly, because you've got the two bishops, you've got an extra pawn, but it's doubled. But meanwhile, this pawn is under attack, and but white does have several loose pieces in the position. So it's actually a very good example of play with the two bishops here.
Yes.
In the game, he took
course,
on a7.
Of course, if I would have pawn on a6, it would be completely winning position. But unfortunately, pawn is on a7, and this pawn is under attack.
Now, here he played very cleverly, and he took the pawn immediately. But if he tries to make a draw with bishop to c5, you were showing me some nice ideas earlier.
Yeah, then what I wanted to do, yes, bishop
To attack this one.
g7, and now bishop takes a7 is not possible because of queen d7 or
And bishop
queen
takes on
a6.
b4, you have queen c4 double attacking.
Yes, two pieces, also not possible. So that's why
And we were looking at if knight takes.
if knight takes, then the easiest way just to play bishop e5 first. Bishop e5.
And he
And
must
then
play
f4, and then bishop takes b2. And now bishop takes a7 is not good because we play queen to c4, and knight is trapped on b4.
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Kamsky took immediately on a7.
Well, also, this is very clever on Gada's part because at first sight, you would say, well, queen here double attacks a piece, or queen a6 double attacks a piece.
Yes, but then there is...
In either case, though, he has this very clever trick with bishop c5.
yes, and then white escapes.
So, but here you showed Gada that he wasn't going to escape so easy.
Yes, so bishop d6. Bishop d6.
So as you were saying...
Now what to do? If f4, which looks very solid, because later knight would come to e5. But after f4, queen d7.
Okay, now you're attacking the bishop. If the bishop moves just anywhere, then you're saying that you could take here, and then on queen takes, then you have bishop takes pawn check, winning the queen, right?
Yes, yeah, that's right. And the only move, just to prevent this threat, is bishop to e3.
To d.
No,
yes.
e3, then bishop takes knight, and then if bishop d4, then another nice variation, bishop d4, bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, bishop takes f4 check, and next move bishop to e5, and there is
The king h.
there is pin on d file. Bishop d6, knight f4 is the only move, and then queen e5. So
Now here he should play bishop e3
yes,
to protect himself. But of course, after you play queen takes here, now it looks reasonable for him because he has a passed pawn, you have a passed pawn, but you also have the power of the bishops, and this one in particular. And he could advance his pawn, but he's not getting too far. For example, like this. And then you just go, say, back here, keep him tied up, and you're going all the way home, and he's not going any further.
yes, maybe even queen c3, queen c3, just to play b2, and if f3, queen takes, and then bishop takes f4, winning the queen.
So in this
Knight
position,
to h3, but after queen e7, queen on g3 is under attack, and bishop on a7 is under attack. White resigned.